First of all,
Absolutely.
congratulations
Oh,
on being
thank you.
inducted into the Ring of Honor. It's a huge honor, no pun intended. How did that feel? What was that day like for you?
Man, it was unbelievable. To go back that day made me think about the whole process. From when we were young and the way my parents raised us, and to get to that point, going in the Ring of Honor of a professional sports franchise. It's you got to pinch yourself. It's pretty special, and there were a lot of people that were part of my journey along the way. This wasn't an accomplishment that was just me, all me. There was a team of people from family and friends and teammates that got me to that point, and it was just a special day.
And you've had quite the journey. So you grew up in Louisiana, you go to LSU. What was behind the decision to go to LSU? And were there some other schools that you considered possibly?
Grew up a LSU fan, Tigers fan. We'd go, just about every Saturday and watch the Tigers play. So I always said that, if LSU offered, that's where I was going to go. The other team that I loved was Notre Dame. At the time when I was growing up in the '80s, Notre Dame was on TV all the time. Tim
Mhm.
Brown and those guys, and so Notre Dame never offered, LSU did, so they made that decision easy for me. I wasn't highly recruited coming out of high school. LSU was probably the biggest school, or not probably, they were the biggest school that offered. All the in state schools offered, Southern Miss, um, Hawaii, but I wasn't going to Hawaii. I would have loved to, but
Would have been nice, yeah.
so it was easy. My decision was easy. LSU offered. I committed there, and it was 4 years that were just an unbelievable time in my life. Playing in Tiger Stadium and for LSU was great.
And you played with some legends there: Alan Faneca, Booger McFarland, Kevin Falk. I don't want to
Yeah.
put you on the spot, but who did you learn the most from at
They.
that during your time at LSU?
Yeah, absolutely. So those guys, Booger McFarland, and Kevin, we all came in together. We were the same. Us three, we were in the same class. Alan was a year ahead of us. I had a couple guys that were older that kind of took me under their wing. A guy named Mark King, he was an offensive guard that was a senior at that time, and a guy named Ben Bordelon, uh, that he has a successful shipbuilding business now down in South Louisiana. But those two guys were huge mentors. Another guy, Sean Wells, they took a young guy under their wing, taught me the ropes. I got in, I started lifting with the older guys as a freshman, and I didn't want to be embarrassed. So if they put 400 pounds on the bar, even if I couldn't do it, I was going to try. So those guys pushed me. They taught me the ropes and along the way. And then, like you mentioned, Alan Faneca, I got to play beside a guy that is in the Hall of Fame now. So he was a high draft pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers first round. Um, and everybody was coming to watch him. So whenever they were coming to watch Allen on tape, I was a center playing next to him. So I owe him a lot for, scouts coming to look and say, well, who's this
For
center,
sure.
that's
Hmm.
playing next to Faneca, because he made us all look good.
Yeah, I mean, he's an all timer, Hall of Famer, like you said, Super Bowl champ, I believe, with the Steelers, maybe two-time Super Bowl champ.
Yeah.
So he's a big deal. If I read correctly, you played tight end in high school, and then you transitioned to offensive line. Did you transition to offensive line at LSU or in high school?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, it, I played tight end and defensive end in high school. Uh, we were an athletic family, grew up playing basketball. Baseball was my first love. My daddy played college basketball. He was a college basketball coach. So we played them all. And when in high school, uh, the spot I could help my team out most was at tight end and defensive end. Steve Ensminger, who has coached all over college football. He's coached, his last stint was at LSU with Joe Burrow. I'm sure you heard of that guy. Uh, but Steve and my dad were high school teammates. My dad was a little bit ahead of Steve. They were family friends, and Steve had told us at one point when I was young, he's like, if he wants an opportunity to play college football, he needs to move to center, because in high
Wow.
school I was adequate at tight end, but I didn't have college speed. I didn't have the motor to play defensive end, and Steve saw enough that he knew my best path would be at center. So in high school, my junior year, I would start the game at center. I'd wear number 55. I'd get 2 series to try to get tape. And then after those 2 series, I would change jerseys, go to number 89, and then I played tight end and defensive end.
That's amazing. I mean, high school football is just the purest form of the sport where you got guys doing stuff like that, changing jersey numbers, playing both ways. That's all.
Absolutely.
That's a great story. So tell me about the draft process. I mean, you were great at LSU. I believe you were all conference a couple times. You guys had a good run during your time there. You end up being drafted by the Atlanta Falcons. Tell me about the draft process and what that was like, the preparation that went into that, and where you thought you were going to get drafted versus where you ended up, perhaps.
Oh, absolutely. So going into the draft, I was being told anywhere from third to fifth round. I'm undersized. I'm 6'1". At the time coming out of the draft, I was probably 295. So I think that was the biggest thing that teams were scared of. An undersized guy. Can he play this position? So we go in and lift weights. Me and Booger train together. A good buddy of ours, Kurt Hester, who's actually the strength coach at Tulane now. Kurt's been all over the country. One of the best strength and conditioning guys that I've ever been around. He is the best I've ever been around. Uh, at the time, he was at LSU, and then they let him go, and had a personal training facility. So he had a bunch of guys that trained. Faneca was there. He came out the year before, but he got us ready for the combine. So we went to the combine. My numbers weren't great. I mean, they were good. My bench press was, I would say, above average. So it comes to draft day, and I'm sitting there thinking, I could possibly go in day one. And you hear
Mm-hmm.
stories about people all the time. They have these high expectations, and it's a big letdown when you're thinking, all right, I'm going on this first day. They're going to call my name. You've told all these friends and families, come on, come over. We're going to have food, get ready to hear my name called. And then it doesn't happen, so it's kind of a shock. And then we get some calls after day one. One of the teams that had called my agent was Detroit, San Francisco, out there in the Bay Area. There was another
Yep.
team that had reached out. They would say, if you're still available at our pick, we'll probably take you in the fourth round. So the fourth round comes and goes. It doesn't materialize. And luckily, in the seventh round, I get a call from an Atlanta area code. And it's Coach Dan Reeves telling me that I was being drafted to the Atlanta Falcons. And that was just an unbelievable weight off my shoulders and was the start of my journey in the NFL.
And your journey got off to a bit of a rocky start, right? So you missed your rookie year with injury, but clearly they thought highly enough of you to keep you around for the for your second year and beyond. So what was that rookie year like, and rehabbing from your injury and all that, and how did you stay focused on your rehab and everything else?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the draft happens in March, I believe, or whenever the draft is. And right after, you report. So I reported to Atlanta. We started strength and conditioning, and then we had some mini camps and OTAs. You don't have pads on, but helmets, and you're out there kind of showing your skills a little bit. So I guess I was able to impress the coaches enough during those OTAs and mini camps that when I tore my ACL the second day of training camp, um, they put me on IR. They can either injury settle with you, give you a settlement, or they can put you on IR and bring you back the next year. Luckily, that's what they did. Uh, I thought when I tore my ACL, I was like, man, my career's over.
Mm.
I hadn't even started. Have I shown enough? Uh, and fortunately, I did. And then so we go through the rehab, get everything healed up and ready to go, and then halfway through my second year, I become the starting center at Atlanta, and the rest is history.